22nd, 2024, regular City Council meeting is called to order. The time is 6 p.m. Before we begin, council, please put away cell phones. If you have personal business during the meeting, please move for a recess. If you are participating telephonically, please mute your phone unless you are speaking. Also, when speaking, please state your name for those streaming the meeting. As a reminder to attendees, this meeting is being streamed live. The camera is located in the back of the council chambers above the clock. Robert's Rules of Orders is a parliamentary authority for council meetings under Wasilla Municipal Code 2.04.090. Under this authority, I respectfully request council observe the following. Kindly seek recognition before speaking. That no member speaks more than twice on the same motion without an affirmative vote on a motion to suspend the rules. That no member speaks a second time until everyone who wishes to do so has spoken once. The purpose of recognizing these rules is to ensure the right to speak is equally respected and that discussion is not dominated. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Cottle.
Here.
Councilmember Graham.
Here.
Councilmember Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Crofton.
Here.
Councilmember Velock.
Here.
Councilmember Rubio.
Here.
You do have a quorum, Madam Mayor. All council members are participating in person and are with us in chambers.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and Councilmember Velock will lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the first item of business is approval of the agenda. Before changes are discussed, are there conflicts of interest to declare? Hearing none, are there changes to the agenda?
Madam Mayor.
Mr. Graham.
Madam Mayor, I would like to add, following the public hearing on item 7.1, a committee of the whole prior to the council vote. Does the clerk understand what I was talking about?
Through the chair to Councilmember Graham. So I think what would be in order is Madam Mayor will open the public hearing. I'll read the title in. Madam Mayor will open the public hearing. We'll take public testimony. She'll close the public hearing, and then you can do it a couple different ways. Probably a main motion to adopt on the floor, and then move into committee of the whole.
Yeah, that's what I would like. That's the order that I would like.
Thank you, sir. Well, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay. We are now at special orders of the day. There are 3 proclamations this evening. Each proclamation and presentation will be made individually. This is the Mayoral Proclamation recognizing the 55th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the professional municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. And whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides the professional link between the citizens and the local governing bodies and agencies of government at other levels. And whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all. And whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community. And whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state and international professional organizations. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishment of the office of the municipal clerk. Now therefore I, Glenda D. Ledford, Mayor of the City of Wasilla, recognize the week of May 5th, 2024 through May 11th, 2024 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerks, Jamie Newman, MMC, Sandra Sarah Standifer, MMC, and Crystal Wynn, administrative aide to the city clerk, for their services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the city of Wasilla, dated this 22nd day of April, 2024. Would you
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And the next one is the City of Wasilla Proclamation recognizing the Wasilla Warriors girls basketball team. Whereas on March 23rd, 2024, the Wasilla Warriors girls basketball team reveled in their winning title of 2024 Division 4A Alaska State Champions. And whereas under the leadership and guidance of head coach Jeannie Hebert Trucks, the Warrior Ladies triumphed over rivals Colony High School Knights, finished the game with a 35-32 win. And whereas every game was motivating, hard-fought, and a record the team has earned, bringing pride to our community through their inspiring team play. And whereas it is an honor to recognize the support of the coaches and managers of the Wasilla Warriors girls basketball team for their outstanding dedication, enthusiasm, and ability to instill the spirit of teamwork. And whereas the city of Wasilla is very proud of the Wasilla Warriors girls basketball team and their successful season, commending and recognizing each Wasilla Warrior player as follows. And please forgive me if I butcher a name. Malie Merchant, Kinley Bruno, Savannah Kroon, Kinley Lynch, Miley Anderson, Livia Brashears, Michaela Compton, Kendra Bowling, Katie Jackson, Cadence Gitline, Claire Redberg, Mia Christensen, Lila Hayes, Summer Michael, Ocean Stevens, Favana, Kylie Bowling, and Bay Rose Kaufman. Now therefore I, Glenda D. Ledford, Mayor of Wasilla, and the Wasilla City Council do hereby recognize, congratulate, and extend our accolades in honor of their exemplary team unity as an example to the city of Wasilla and its citizens, dated this 22nd day of April 2024. All the team would come forward, please.
You can come over here. Are we doing 2 lines?
On the front.
You're shocking. I'm already here. No, I'm already here.
It's an honor to present.
I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't think so. No.
No, okay, good.
That only takes a while. We're on the sacks. Yeah. The tall one right over there, and then OC in the. Thank you.
I know you can sing.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And I have 5.
Is it solvable? Okay. I need someone else. Can you go to Lulu? What?
6. 6. Neither.
Oh, 5? Yes.
So
Try
5. I have 1 coach here, and I'm getting. So I need actually 6. She told me to.
Miley.
All right, I get in here.
Just 2.
Holding him up.
So I have 6 that are here. I know, but I'm saying I have 6 that aren't here.
Like perfect window. Like go in front of her face.
So 6, and then I would be.
Like,
I'm gonna go over now. Okay, that's chill.
actually, yeah, I'm not gonna because I.
This.
You can just have
We're just.
Jamie, you got a cam? Oh, Sarah does.
It's just like right here. Like can see over. Come on.
See you.
Okay, right here, everybody. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Nice.
How about you? Thank you.
And now, we're doing volleyball. Okay. The City of Wasilla Proclamation recognizing the Wasilla Warriors girls volleyball team. Whereas on November 11th, 2023, the Wasilla Warriors girls volleyball team celebrated their first Division 4A Alaska State Championship title in 20 years. Whereas, under the management and guidance of head coach Katie Oxspring and manager Chloe Moore, the Warrior ladies triumphed over rivals East High School Thunderbirds, finishing the game with a score of 3-0 and an overall sweep of 15 straight wins. Woo. And whereas, every game was inspiring, hard fought, and an award the team has earned, bringing pride to the community through their inspirational team play. And whereas it is an honor to recognize the support of the coaches and managers of the Wasilla Warrior girls volleyball team for their remarkable dedication, enthusiasm, and ability to instill the spirit of teamwork. And whereas the City of Wasilla is very proud of the Wasilla Warriors girls volleyball team and their victorious season, commending and recognizing each Wasilla Warrior player as follows. And again, I apologize for butchering names. Oceana Stevens, Favanen, Ava Holland, Marissa Monroe, Kendi Shelton, Violet Shackle, Kai Shackle, Caitlin Weifel, Miley Anderson, Isha Stanford, Riley Pitney, Claire
Koivunen.
Koivunen, okay, Lila Hayes, and Allison Devine. Now therefore I, Glenda D. Ledford, Mayor of Wasilla, and the Wasilla City Council do hereby recognize, congratulate, and extend our accolades in honor of their exemplary team unity as an example to the City of Wasilla and its citizens. Dated this 22nd day of April, 2024.
Good job, guys. I should have brought my other.
You ain't said it all.
Nationals in Dallas, or they got stuck for student council.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. You can stand next to me, Anderson.
I didn't know if you wanted to be by.
Some days I bite.
Okay,
Now,
I will give you these for
take
the
this,
Warriors
Steve.
girls. How many other girls?
Holy.
14 total.
Do we have that?
Do you want to take him a pen, or you don't have to?
Okay. There you go. All right. We need a picture.
I'm gonna bring this to that one.
my team right there, guys.
Really look little.
All right, 1,
2, 3.
What do we say?
What do
And
you
one
say?
more. One more.
Smile, won't you, girls?
We can sing the fight song, guys.
Yeah, sing it. Sing the fight song.
I did too.
Seriously.
You guys are doing the fight song.
Yep.
Got it.
Okay.
Go, 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 go. Fight, glory, go, go, fight, fight, win. We got the pride and the spirit inside. Fight for the red and white. Go, Wasilla warriors. We will win tonight. Go, Wasilla, hail the victors from high right.
Again next year.
That's right. We look forward to seeing all of you next year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
We are now at commission and agency reports. Acting Planner Nygaard, please report on the Planning Commission.
We need one of those chants for the planning commission. Working on that. Okay, we met on April 9th, and our Public Works Director, Eric Shaw, gave an excellent presentation on the Interconnect project and the area that it encapsulates. Also about some of the mapping that's going on in collaboration with the borough, using some of their mapping tools. A great map of the fire hydrants and the importance of the fire hydrant maintenance that's gonna go with this project. So if you have a chance, go back and look at that planning commission meeting. It's very informative.
Okay.
That's it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. There are 4 ordinance scheduled for public hearing this evening. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance serial number 24-14 by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's amending chapter, can you hear me? 2.04 of the Wasilla Municipal Code to increase council member compensation and to limit special meetings to 8 per fiscal year without the concurrence of the majority of council.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 2414 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person.
Good evening, my name is Mary Robinson, City of Wasilla resident, and I represent myself. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. I'm speaking in support of ordinance serial number 24-14. As I've said to you before, I'm going to reiterate, you couldn't pay me enough to sit and listen to all the people that come before you. But I particularly appreciate the mayor and the council's professionalism in not promoting your own political party, not promoting your own religion, not promoting your own ideology. You should be paid extra just for that. You may not have been elected by all of us, but you do represent all of us, and I thank you for all of your hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Hearing none, we will close public comment. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 24-14?
Madam Mayor, I move ordinance serial 2414.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, Councilman Johnson seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Johnson to adopt ordinance serial number 2414. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor, I move we go into committee of the whole for discussion of this ordinance prior to voting.
So, is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second.
It has been made by Councilmember Graham and seconded by Councilmember Johnson to go into committee of the whole. So we are in committee of the whole at 6:19. Mr. Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Council. I brought forward this ordinance for a couple of reasons. Number one, we haven't addressed the issue of the stipend for the council. The council doesn't get paid a salary, it gets paid a stipend per meeting. In the 9 years that I've been, 8.5 years that I've been on the council here, it has changed once and was not, actually wasn't increased. The only thing that changed was that a little bit of tinkering with how special meetings worked. So In the years that I've been on the council, special meetings were infrequent and short. This year, so far, we have had 11 special meetings. We have several more on the books for the remainder of this fiscal year. I think we have 6 more before we get to the end of the year. I don't have the calendar right in front of me, but we have several more before the end of the fiscal year. The current ordinance says that if there is a special meeting, you'll get paid half of your usual stipend. And if there are more than 8 special meetings a year, you don't get paid for those in excess of 8 meetings a year. I think when this code was originally brought forward, and this is just a change to the code, it's pretty simple, but when the code was originally brought forward, the city was a lot less complex. The city council spent a lot less time dealing with things than it does now, and special meetings were indeed rare. I think in many of the years that I was on the council, we would have 3 or 4 special meetings, and there was even and there currently is a provision in code that says if the special meeting lasts less than an hour, you don't get paid for it. So that tells you about how long those meetings were, because there were several meetings where you didn't get paid because it was just a one-issue meeting. You came in, you did your business, and you were gone in 20 minutes. So, but times have changed. It's getting harder and harder to put people in the seats up here that are willing to spend the time. And a second provision here is that, currently the mayor can call a special meeting whenever she wants, or he or she wants, or 2 council members can call a special meeting at any time that they want. And I think we've kind of gotten away from the fact that this is a meeting of the council. We don't meet at the convenience of others, and the council needs to retake control of their schedule. There's nothing wrong with special meetings. You have a special meeting 5 times a week. If you can get it, you can convince the council that that's what needs to be done. But everything else that we do on the council takes 4 affirmative votes to make happen. And yet we're gonna have a special meeting if we just have 2 council members say that they want to do that. So those are the 2 things in here, changing the rate of the stipend, for the special meetings, and of course, changing it to where the council will decide if a special meeting is warranted. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, and as a kind of a point of information here, I want to make sure now that we're in committee of the whole, whether or not this is appropriate, but I move to divide the question. So when we come out of committee of the whole, all right, thank you.
And Madam Mayor, the clerk did just point out to me that a third portion of this was not a third portion, but the calling special meetings was no more than 8 special meetings could be called without the concurrence of the council. So the mayor and 2 council members could still call up to 8 special meetings per year, as the code reads now, and it would continue to read. Thank you for bringing that up.
Mr. Johnson?
Madam Mayor, thank you. From last meeting, I had some concerns with this, in that I look at serving on the council as both a privilege as well as more or less a volunteer to the city. So I understand the need for a stipend, okay? I also understand that there may be a need for a special meeting occasionally, and if the meeting were short and not too obtrusive, the compensation or lack thereof could be commensurate with the meeting length. I guess my real problem comes is when we have a lot of special meetings, and particularly the meeting was to fall on a Saturday, because that Saturday kills basically the whole day for that particular council member or staff members who show up for these particular meetings, and then to be either not paid a full meeting for something like that, or if you've already gone past 8, to lose a whole Saturday with absolutely no compensation or stipend, I think is not fair, okay? So, on the other hand, I don't really want to be coming and saying, well, we'll get paid $2.25 for every meeting. On the other hand, I certainly do not like having, a minor compensation paid when I'm losing basically a whole day, nor I think I agree with you in terms of limiting the number of special meetings. I mean, it is my opinion that if our normal meetings go to 7:30 or 8, I've already killed the Monday. I mean, I don't mind being here until 9 or 9:30, just so that we can accomplish additional tasks without having special meetings. So I'd like to see the special meetings curtailed, and maybe if there's a financial incentive not to do it, maybe I could see supporting it. But I really need to hear from everybody else as to how they feel about this. Thank you.
Mayor?
Ian?
Thank you, Mayor. I do think this is a couple different questions here, so I appreciate Councilmember Cottle already mentioning that we need to divide this question. I really like, I'll start with the idea of limiting the special meetings. Again, we're not fully limiting. We're just saying, hey, if we're going to go beyond the 8 number, then we need a council concurrence. I think that's a really good idea. I think as well, the council it's due for a raise. I mean, keep in mind, when we get to this desk here, we've a lot of times already sunk in 2, 3, 4, 6 hours into this, depending on how large of a packet it is. I mean, think about some of those special meetings with the Title 16. I mean, there was, at one point, I think we had 200 pages to read coming up on it. So, I mean, you read it once, you get it. You sometimes have to read it a second time just to be able to really understand and feel like you know something coming to these meetings. So I think a increase into our compensation is very well warranted at this point in time. Though I don't know if us getting paid per meeting is the way we should do it. Something I've already discussed with the clerk at one point prior to this coming forward was I wanted to see us go the salary direction. I'd support this if that's what everybody else is on board with, though I think there's a better way that our compensation should be done, in my eyes.
Madam Mayor? Madam Mayor? Thank you. I like, what Councilmember Johnson stated was, I believe this is a volunteer position, serving the community. I don't really feel good about giving us a raise when it is a volunteer. Yes, I understand the stipend. I'm for lifting the cap to get paid for the special meetings, and maybe discussion on maybe special meetings paying the same as regular meetings or something, but I'm not for a salary or actually up in the regular stipend amount. So that's how I feel right now.
Madam Mayor? Going through this, I did kind of check into basically historically how many special meetings there usually is in a year. And aside from this year with Title 16, which has been a lot, there aren't usually a lot of special meetings. I myself am not in favor of an increase for the meetings. I am, however, in favor of removing the cap for the special meetings. And I kind of have to echo Councilman Johnson's feelings on Saturday. That happens to be my Sabbath. And so that's my church day. If we have a special meeting on Saturday, yes, I will attend, but I prefer not to if we can do it during the week. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'm gonna piggyback all of that, in the sense of Saturday is, I get 2 days off, and really Saturday is spent with my kids playing their sports, and trying to race them to their games. On a side note, I like lifting, so removing that cap. And guys, I'm not here to make a living off of serving my community. I am totally against giving a raise. We are serving our community, and I'm not, like I said, looking to make money off of this. It's fulfilling the satisfaction of providing a service.
Is there further discussion when we're in committee of the whole?
Madam Mayor.
Ian?
Thank you, Mayor. To the comments around Saturday, I think this is putting the concurrence on the council benefits that, because now we're gonna have a conversation around when those meetings happen. Now, keep in mind, anything under 8 still, like, we're really not changing the years that we have under 8 meetings. Those will still happen as normal. What this does for us is, so those years that we do have a lot of extra work to do, and keep in mind, not only do we have our Title 16 we're finishing up this year, right after this we're going to be diving into our comprehensive plan as well, which could warrant additional special meetings over the next, whether it be this year or next year or the following year. What this does is, so it just removes the question of when we're having meetings over 8. It just says, hey, yeah, we can have them. I mean, again, I'm not here to make money. This isn't my day job. This isn't a full-time job. I just appreciate the fact that I'm having to take time away from my family, away from my regular job, to be able to serve my community. And all I ask is to be compensated for some of the time that we're dedicating to that. That's where this increase is coming from, and where we're saying, hey, over 8 meetings, we're gonna go ahead and still be compensated for those timeframes, and even if they're less than an hour, because even if it's less than an hour, we've still spent more than an hour preparing ourselves for this meeting. So I think, again, with the Saturday question, we're solving it by passing that portion of it. And then again, with the less than 8, I mean, the only other way is if you were to change something else and say all of them have to be done that way. But that puts a burden on our administration when we need to get special meetings put into place. They have the power to do that. We also have, as a council, has a right to say, hey, that doesn't work for us. We're not able to make those times work.
Madam Mayor, since we're in committee of the whole, then I still firmly believe that if we were to have a Saturday meeting, that we should receive full compensation for that particular meeting, because those meetings are long and they kill a whole day, rather than just being a partial compensation. How do you feel about that?
Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, I'm not going to address Mr. Johnson's question directly. I'm going to say something in general. Nobody at this table, I think, needs the $225 or $250 that we get per meeting. That's not why we agreed to run for council or agreed to try to be appointed to council. It sure as heck wasn't for the money. You know, if it was, boy, are you in the wrong place. But having a stipend out there that is reasonable, what that does is that tells people that are considering essentially volunteering their time, and just because you get paid for something doesn't mean you're not a volunteer, but considering volunteering your time, you know, many times, you know, these council meetings, you know, for me, you'll have an extra 12 or even 15 hours a week of staff work, of phone calls and things like that that go into the meeting. So what you see that happens here isn't much, but if I'm looking out in the audience right now, if I want you to run for city council, I think you have to feel that your time is valued for what you do. And $250 a meeting is not going to show you that any great value, any great monetary value, but it is going to show you that your time is valued for what you put in. Would it affect anybody here on the council right now? Would they say, well, if I'm not going to get $250 a meeting, I'm going to quit? You know, no, that's not going to happen. But what it does do is it sets the tone for the city that we value our volunteers and we are willing to provide them with a small stipend to make that happen. And in the case of the city council, these are city council meetings, so the council should have the ultimate decision over when these meetings happen and how often these meetings happen, not the other way around. So this should be a meeting of the council to affirm or to work with the administration to make things happen, but we shouldn't be calling a special meeting every time we want to do something and tell the council, which we are telling that we minimally value their time, that they have to show up without their consent. So a couple things there, and Ms. Cottle, you may want to divide the question three ways, because there's really three things here. The current stipend is $225. This raises it to $250. And then there's the special meetings, which are $125 or something. I don't know what it is, but and then that would raise those to the regular council rate. And then there is the question of should the council weigh in on special meetings. So just do whatever you would like, but I'm just saying there are really three questions here. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Further discussion in committee of the whole? Hearing none, is there a motion to come out of the committee of the whole?
Madam Mayor, I move we exit committee of the whole.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second that.
We are out of committee of the whole at 6:36. Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor, I move that we divide the question into three ways.
Okay, state your.
Yeah, I was waiting for the clerk to be ready for this one. So I think echoing what Mr. Graham said there would be the best idea here is, so question number one, question number one would be, do we raise the council member compensation from $225 to $255?
Or to 250?
$255 is what's in the ordinance,
Oh,
Madam
okay.
Mayor.
Well,
Yep.
if I may.
Yep.
So the question before the council in the ordinance right now is just to raise pay to $255. That's the question.
And it asks about special meetings too.
Will you-
And that would be the second question
But
is,
it's the question of compensation, but if you want to take them separately, that it's compensation and then meetings. But, yeah.
and then my second question I would ask would be, do we raise compensation for special meetings? Do we also do it? So question one, can we not do that?
I think, I'm sorry, through the chair to Councilmember Crafton, when you move to divide the motion, it's not separating the ordinance into different motions. There's the motion before the body is captured in the ordinance. So the ordinance is, in my mind, I mean, you can override me, it's two questions. You got the compensation question and you got the meeting question. And in fact, section 2 of the ordinance deals with compensation and reimbursement is hereby amended. And then section 3 is meetings. So if it's easier, you can certainly, as a group, I don't think there's objection to talking about where you want to land with regular meetings, if that's where you're going, or special meetings, if that's where you're going. But compensation is the question in the ordinance, and then the meeting section is the question. Does that make sense?
So then, Madam Clerk, do we need to go back into committee of the whole to decide exactly what we want to decide?
It's your call. I think we might be really the question on compensation, in my opinion, is what's before you. Council members shall be compensated $255 for each council meeting attended, and then the proposal is to strike the breakup between regular and special. Is that where you're going, Councilmember Crafton?
Where I was going with it was, it sounded like there was some conversation around, do we raise compensation as a whole? And then also there was a question around, should we be raising special meetings to at least what we're getting paid for at the 225? And then the third question would be the cap, removing the cap, or putting a cap so that it allows the council to concur between anything above 8.
I think you're
Or
gonna.
would that be an amendment at that point?
I mean, I think we're making it really more confusing. I would try to maybe just divide it into the two questions and see where
Then
the
let's go that
discussion
route.
goes.
See
Does
how
that
the
work?
discussion
This
goes.
is
Yep.
Where we go.
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Johnson?
just as a point of order, then maybe the thing to do would be to offer a series of amendments that we can vote down, up or down on each validity for the change in the existing proposal, because the existing proposal is on the table. We have the ability as a council to amend that and vote on each specific amendment as we want. So my recommendation would be we proceed with that forward, and if anybody wishes to make amendments, say on the compensation level, that they do so, and then we vote on that amendment, and then move on through the ordinance. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, if I may, the only thing I would just caution the council is like any motion, you can only reconsider it. Question can only be discussed once at the same session, other than the motion to reconsider. And if you reconsider it, you have to be on the prevailing side. So that's, if that's making sense, that's not the bet. I mean, you're gonna end up getting stuck. No, you're not? Okay.
Mr. Gray.
Madam Mayor, I move to postpone consideration of ordinance serial number 2414 indefinitely, and it is my intent to bring back a rewritten ordinance at a future meeting. So essentially, we would kill this discussion for today, take what we learned at the committee of the whole, rewrite it into the separate questions that were dealt with at committee of the whole, and then move forward from there.
Madam Mayor, I'll second that motion.
Okay. It has been made and seconded to postpone indefinitely ordinance serial number 20-14. Indefinitely, is there discussion?
Just for the record, it's my intent not to kill the discussion, but to rephrase the discussion now that we've had a committee of the whole, and now we've determined where the sticking points are and where things that we really want to have the opportunity to vote up or down. So.
Okay. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion passes. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance serial number 2415 by title.
Thank you. That's amending section 1.20030 of the Wasilla Municipal Code to delineate offenses and fines for violations set forth in Wasilla Municipal Code 1304-180, cross-connection control violations and penalties.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 24-15 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Seeing no one, public testimony is closed. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 24-15?
Madam Mayor, I move ordinance serial 2415.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Johnson and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to adopt ordinance serial number 24-15. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Mr. Johnson.
it's more of a question, I guess, for Public Works. Could you tell us a little bit as to how this is going to be enforced?
Eric.
Through the mayor, the enforcement won't be changed through this housekeeping action, if you will. This came about as we talked with our legal advice on what our code compliance officer sees when he brings a citation like this before the judges, and they have requested more specificity in the codes when a citation is brought before them for consideration. So this is just preventing negative feedback from judges when it goes in front of them, and makes it clear what portion of the code a citation may have been written for, and delineates certain things about like backflow prevention assembly versus unprotected cross connection and premises prohibited. So it's what we've seen from feedback from the legal system on when our citations go in front of them.
So, Madam Mayor, just a quick follow-up then. I mean, this is only when our current code compliance officer trips into something like this, or is this done on just a general inspection for occupancy or something like that?
Through the mayor, so the normal times that you would see these specific code sections being used to create a citation or a fine would typically be when utilities is alerted to a situation that is not being remedied. So this is the process when a business owner or some other entity that should be responsible for these code compliances is not compliant, and we have to be a bit more forceful than usual.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Mr. Gray?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, going to Public Works. So we go to court and we say, you know, Mr. Graham failed to install a backflow prevention assembly on his water system, therefore the fine is $300. The judge says, yep, Mr. Graham, you're fined $300. Okay. What does the city do to correct that, and do we have some legal remedy to have the utility be paid for the work that it takes to correct that?
Through the mayor, so the citation could last as long as that person's out of compliance. So if a entity is notified that they need to comply and they refuse to comply, it could be $300 a day. And so those fines add up quickly and garner the response that we're looking for. If there were legal, if we legally needed to, let me back up. We would disconnect service if a customer was not willing or able to meet these codes. We would not allow a cross connection to continue. We would literally turn the water off.
That was my main concern. Yeah, are we allowing contamination of our water system?
We are not actively allowing that. We are responding as we find issues and trying to get compliance without even getting to a fine. We just need compliance when we come across these issues.
Thank you.
Okay, is there further discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance serial number 24-16 and AM 24-19 by title.
Thank you. Amending the fiscal year 2024 budget by appropriating $83,000 from the general fund balance to the park maintenance equipment replacement fund for the purchase of a new compact track loader. And secondly, the AM contract awarded Craig Taylor Equipment in the amount of $93,155 for the purchase of a 2024 T770 T4 Bobcat track loader with a full warranty and planned maintenance agreement.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 24-16 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Seeing no one, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 24-16 and AM 24-19?
Madam Mayor, I move ordinance serial number 2416 and its accompanying amendment.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Cottle to adopt ordinance serial number 24-16 and AM 24-19. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Ian?
Thank you, Mayor. I had called Eric, so he's already got the mic, he knows, about this one. I was just wanted some clarification and figured some other people would like some clarification around kind of what happened with our old machine, why we're purchasing a new one. And my biggest concern originally as well was, why are we spending $10,000 on a warranty? You know, you can just get it fixed. And so I'll defer, if Eric doesn't mind, to explain what the reasoning was behind getting this warranty and how beneficial it was to get it this time around.
Through the mayor, so in our staff report, we talk about our 2016 case TV 380 compact track loader. It suffered a catastrophic engine failure, and so to diagnose the failure and then identify what a replacement engine would cost. We went through that cost analysis and talked about its value as it is, its value for repair, and its value as a surplus item in the future. We found a replacement skid loader, which is generally the same model and size, slightly upgraded, but would perform what the Parks Department is looking for. And so that is the bulk of the request in this purchase. To Mr. Crafton's question, what we're seeing today in the heavy equipment market is that if you do not buy the vehicle or a prepaid maintenance schedule from the companies in the valley, you are put into a second waiting list, and it can take weeks to get your vehicle worked on. And especially during winter, a couple weeks of downtime is very detrimental to our response. So the request is to purchase this new vehicle because it the old one is 8 years old, and it's in our mathematics, it's not cost effective to put a new engine into an 8-year-old machine. But also prepay for up to 2,000 hours of regular maintenance. So there are intervals that the manufacturer recommends for oil changes and inspections, and so 2,000 hours or 5 years of prepaid oil changes and maintenance is what the $10,400 is. That puts us at the top of the line for those inspections. It puts us on a schedule with that provider, so they'll call us up and say, it's time, come on in, we're ready for you. And it keeps us highly maintained so that that equipment is ready to go. One of the questions was, do we expect more than 5 years of life out of it? Absolutely. But the 5-year prepaid coverage is all that they offer. So what you'll see from the funding is the new vehicle is being requested out of the replacement fund, and then that $10,400 of maintenance is out of the maintenance fund. And so we feel that that's an effective way to budget for the machine and for that preventative maintenance, and it locks in a rate that we feel will serve us into the future, as we know rates are going up every year. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Mr. Johnson?
Madam Mayor, to Eric, I apologize for not doing a little bit of homework in advance here, but a question did come up in my mind. So you're referencing two account numbers right now, and that's where the money is coming out of. This was not a budgeted item per se in last year's budget, but is terms of just a general fund replacement, is that correct? Okay, and how are we doing in terms of that fund for this year? I'm assuming it's coming out of this year's budget, or is it coming out of next year's budget?
Through the mayor, I know for certain that the $10,400 is coming out of this year's operational budget. I would have to defer to the finance director on the lifespan of the equipment replacement fund, but I believe that that would be this year's budget as well. So that it's both fiscal year 24 monies.
Okay, further discussion? Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And this for the Finance Department, on page 21 of the printed packet here, it talks about additional support or maintenance costs, shows $1,500. I don't see that referenced anywhere else. Was that a misprint? Was that just something I'm missing? Says City Wasilla 2024 fiscal note legislation OR 2416.
This was when the ordinance came through separately from the AM. So the ordinance came through at the beginning of it was the last packet of the agenda, and that's what it was currently estimated at, because we were thinking of getting a yearly warranty, and then when they went out and awarded the actual AM and the contract to Craig Taylor, that's when the $10,400 came back. And it went up to that dollar amount. So that's the difference of it. So it started out at $1,500. We thought it was going to be for next fiscal year. And then as they went through their contract awarding procedures, it came up that they would have chosen to do the 2,000 hours, I believe, and so that's where the change has happened.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor.
Elena?
To Eric. Eric, my question is, I know that we just bought a sweeper and we didn't get a maintenance plan on that, or did we?
Through the mayor, are we thinking of the trackless sweeper? Is that what we're thinking of? So, this is an outgrowth of us dealing with maintenance issues this winter. So we had never done this before. So we're hoping that this is something that we want to continue with new purchases. But from what I understand from both my parks and my road supervisor, it's never been brought as a. I think there's been some leeriness about forward funding, but we've been really feeling the delay in getting repairs, and so this is not uncommon. It's just new for us, and so we'll probably see this in the future if we continue to see its value.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
one more question. So do we not have anybody with this new equipment that we're getting across the board to do our maintenance?
Through the mayor, contractually, is that what your question is? So we have several options in the valley for those repairs, but they're just extremely busy.
Madam Mayor, sorry. Within our own house.
Oh, I'm sorry, we do not within our own house.
Okay. Any further discussions?
Madam Mayor. So just so I'm clear, Eric, pretty much our in-house maintenance capabilities are limited to what we have at the police station, which is very basic, tire change, brakes, that sort of stuff. And then in-house, we could change the track on one of these skid steers or a tire, but when it came to anything
Yeah, through the mayor.
internally,
So,
we couldn't deal with it. Is that correct?
yeah, to speak to the police department's capabilities, they have a very qualified light vehicle mechanic, very qualified. We do not have a heavy mechanic within the city as an employee, and so we do our basic maintenance, greasing, checking things. We have hosted mechanics to come and work in our facilities. There is a lot of electronics in these new systems that have scanning requirements, and so we don't have the space, capacity, or ability right now to build our own heavy repair facility at roads or parks.
Further discussion? Hearing none, is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is adopted. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance serial number 2417 by title.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's amending the fiscal year 2024 budget by accepting and appropriating a federal Homeland Security grant passed through the state of Alaska Department of Military and Veterans Affairs in the amount of $35,000 as part of the 2022 state and local cybersecurity grant program for the city of Wasilla cybersecurity risk assessment.
The public hearing on ordinance serial number 2417 is now open. Anyone wishing to testify, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. Seeing no one, the public hearing is closed. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2417?
Madam Mayor, I move to adopt ordinance 2417.
Is there a second?
Madam Mayor, I second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Cottle and seconded by Councilmember Velock to adopt ordinance serial number 24-17. Is there discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Ian?
Thank you, Mayor. I, after reading this very long document, am hesitant to accept a grant for this amount. I'm always partial or hesitant to accept federal dollars from the federal government. There's always stipulations that come along with that. And in this case here, I truly do believe cybersecurity is a risk in today's age. And if we truly feel that this is a concern that we need to be spending $35,000 on to do an assessment, I know the city has the capability to write the check for that right now. I don't feel like we should be binding ourselves to what the federal government might ask for or will ask for after accepting dollars from the Department of Homeland Security. So I would caution you to think about what strings are attached when we accept federal dollars for a program. So I would be more lenient to, or more on the favor of, if we wanted to do this, we should do it ourselves than be accepting a grant to do it for something like this. Thank you.
Is there further discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Mr. Graham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Ian, for bringing that up. I too spent some time reading through this, the documentation going along with this, and I saw the because I too am leery of federal money that has hidden strings, but reading through all this, all of the requirements are on the vendor and not on the city. The requirements are the vendor has to comply with all the current titles out there and can't discriminate, against people, including some of the new stuff out there, the LGBTQ, whatever all that new stuff is, they have to comply with that in their hiring practices, but there's no mention in here that I saw of any limitations on the city. It just says we have to hire somebody who agrees to comply with those. So I think this is, no money is free money, but this is a way to keep us from spending $35,000 of our own money, and we can spend it on some grant money that's already been allocated by the federal government. But thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing,
Yes, roll call vote, sorry.
oh,
Yes, sorry.
okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councilmember Cottle?
I'm sorry, are we,
This is on the adoption of ordinance serial number 2417.
okay, it's not on the objection. I'm in favor.
Favor of adoption. Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson?
Yes.
Councilmember Crafton?
No.
Councilmember Velock?
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio?
Yes.
Motion to adopt ordinance serial number 2417 passes with council members Cottle, Graham, Johnson, Velock, and Rubio in support. Councilmember Crafton opposed.
Okay. We are now at persons to be heard, a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. And the first one is Mary Robinson. Please begin your testimony by stating your first and last name, and if you are a city resident, and also your comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. My name is Mary Robinson. I'm a City of Wasilla resident, and I represent myself. You know how I love clean streets, whether it's swept clean of snow or grit. So in all sincerity, thank you to Public Works for the sidewalk and street sweeping this weekend. I saw kids out on their tricycles and people walking dogs, and I'm just so proud of how our city looks. The ball fields, the parks, the museum, City Hall, the library, the Menard Center, the community gardens. It looks wonderful, and thank you so much for everything that everyone does to keep us going. I'm looking forward to cleanup days, and I'm particularly looking to see what's going to be planted in all the baskets and out in front of City Hall. I heartily support Mr. Brown for the Planning Commission. Reading over his application attached to this evening's agenda, I find Mr. Brown to be thoughtful and articulate, and heartily agree that he feels it's every citizen's obligation to give back to their community in some form. We all believe we have rights, as by the Alaska Constitution and the U.S. Constitution, but along with those rights comes responsibility and obligations. So I hope that indeed Mr. Brown is confirmed for the Planning Commission this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Okay, the next is Jackie Goforth. Please begin your testimony by stating your first and last names, and if you are a city resident, your comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Jackie Goforth. I don't know if you know it, but the American Library Association is a Marxist organization. They're very proud of it, and they say so. There have already been 12 states that have disconnected ties with them, and several communities. So I have been researching the American Library Association, and I found a very interesting thing buried in a subgroup of a steering committee. I found a sample of Memorandum of Understanding requirements a library is required to provide in order to have a Friends of nonprofit sponsored by the ALA. Page 1 of what I handed you is that Memorandum of Understanding. Just look at what's required. They want storage space, office space, staff support with assistance with their newsletter, mass mailing, meeting coordination. They expect a city-owned library to provide free space, rent, utilities, and a city-paid employee's time. I wanted to check if an MOU existed between Wasilla Library and their Friends of group. That's when things got really weird. I tried the link on the city page, and it's a dead link. Try it yourself, it doesn't go anywhere. So you'd have to be blind not to notice that somebody is advertising on social media and everywhere as Friends of the Wasilla Public Library and introducing themselves as the Friends of the Wasilla Library when they speak it. But they dropped the public part of the title sometimes. I couldn't figure out why. But it wasn't easy to locate what was going on. An online site finally showed an existent nonprofit licensed as Wasilla Library Association. That's page 2. It lists the Friends of the Wasilla Public Library as a secondary name. That is page 2. If you track them down, you will find that the board of directors is the same as the people who've been speaking as the Friends of. There's a whole host of rules and regulations and statutes that they just ignore here. On page 3, you will see that failure to register with the Alaska Department of Law prior to soliciting charitable contributions violates the Alaska Charitable Solicitations Act and subjects the person to civil penalties. The next page, 12 AAC 12.020G of the Commerce Act states, in advertising and operating, a business license owner must use the business name exactly as it appears on the business license. A separate business license is required for each different name a business will be operating and advertising under. Do you understand? The people who have been excoriating me and others for violating their rules haven't even followed state law. How can you have a Friends of the Wasilla Library that didn't even register their name? They don't exist. They don't exist with the city either. All of this is so illegal, I can't imagine how to fix it. The Friends of the Wasilla Public Library and the Friends of the Wasilla Library exist now, and it's not the people, the other people. It's me. Thank you.
Simon Brown. Please begin your testimony by stating your first and last name, and if you're a city resident, also your comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Simon Brown. I am a city resident, and I come representing Artie Winter Games as the security chair. I want to thank the mayor and the city council and the entire city of Wasilla for the support you gave us during Winter Games. Just so you know, I've heard from Northwest Territories, from Finland, from Denmark, from Greenland about the hospitality of the Wasilla area. And I want to thank you for all that support. And with your permission, Mayor, I'd like to recognize some of your staff who was outstanding during this time, and that is Scott from Menard Center, Bethany from the museum, who I don't think is here tonight, and the chief of police for the police department. And with your permission, may I approach the table?
Absolutely.
And again, Council and Madam Mayor, thank you for all the support you gave us, financial and other support, and hopefully I won't be around 10 years from now when the Winter Games come again.
Sure we will, Simon.
Thank you.
Mary Rivetta.
Correct.
Please begin your testimony by stating your first and last name, and if you're a city resident, also your comments are limited to 3 minutes.
Mary Ravetta, and I'm just outside of the city limits. Good evening, Mayor, Madam Glenda, Assembly, and staff. It's kind of awkward. I'm here to protect children. FOWL and FOWPL, which is Friends of the Library and Friends of the Public Library, were not licensed with the state. And it's the same with the Wasilla City License Office. They've been misrepresenting themselves to the world for years, and everyone just went along. There are laws against this. What they've done and are still doing is illegal. Where is the accounting for the funds gathered as donations? Where is the money going? How could they send donations to Palmer Friends when they don't exist? Why did the librarian give them the city-owned property to sell in a used book sale every month without checking once for where the money went? Do they have a bank account? And if so, how did they get one? We already sent 3 Freedom of Information Act requests over this. There will probably be more. Needless to say, we also sent a consumer complaint to the Attorney General's office. We have some pre-filled out ones. If anyone here would like to make copies, fill in their information and also mail them into the State Attorney General's Consumer Complaint Office. So perhaps this won't get shoved under the rug, but handled legally and transparently. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to testify before the council at this time? Please begin by stating your first and last name if you are a city resident, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Linda Spone, and I heard at the assembly meeting, the borough assembly meeting, that there was a young girl that checked out a book at your library, your public library, on Anne Frank. And it perverted her biography. When I was a young teenager, I read Anne Frank's diary, and I cried my young heart out over that girl and her family. It affected me all my life, that one book. And to pervert her character is beyond absurd. I'd sure like to know what you're gonna do about this. Just to put it into perspective, that was during World War II. My dad was 17 when Pearl Harbor was hit, and a man in his town went down with the battleship Arizona, and that town emptied out of all young men joining up to go defend their neighbor. My dad's older brother went immediately, and he begged his parents when he turned 16, would they please sign for him to go? And they didn't. But he begged for another year, and at the top of 1943, he joined the Marines at 17 years old and shipped out across the ocean. Now, if my dad can do that at 17 years old, I'm going to fight the Marxist communists that are taking over our country without firing a shot. They are infiltrating all of our institutions, our schools, our libraries, and you're changing history of a beloved story. This is utterly crazy. Now, also, if you want to know, pornography is the fastest growing addiction in the United States, or worldwide, actually. A lady was killed by a drunk driver in front of Lowe's less than a month ago on the Parks Highway at 8:30 in the morning. What kind of an addiction is that? At 8:30 in the morning, someone being slammed head on at 8:30 in the morning by a drunk driver. I happen to know the family. I happen to know her family. This dear lady was a wife, mother, and grandmother of 9 grandchildren. Her family is in deep mourning, and the 29-year-old male that hit her may be charged with manslaughter. This is a picture of horrific addiction. Now we are adding to addictions by putting perverted, vulgar pornography in our libraries. This is not in the best interest of our community and should not be funded by tax dollars. May God help us through the shed blood of Christ Jesus.
Is there anyone else that would like to testify at this time? Please begin by saying your first and last name. And if you're a city resident, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and Assembly. My name's Mark Spohn. There's a handout there, the page, and everything's listed on the top. You can read the article for yourself. It addresses what's happening with the youth and this pornography addiction and what we're doing. We need to do something about it. And there's also a note on there, there's a 2-minute trailer on YouTube you can look up that deals with some of that same stuff. On the last meeting, we handed out an article, and it stated that the largest addiction for youth in the whole world is pornography. And we've got taxpayer-funded library what are you doing about it? I know one of the assembly members here a while back said, what do they want us to do? Stop using taxpayer money to purchase or house and distribute it. That was what we want you to do. Or that's what I want you to do. I'm not speaking for anybody else. It's not real hard to figure out. When you corrupt a young person's mind, they said it's a worse addiction than trying to get them off of drugs or alcohol. Let's get serious about this. Quit using taxpayer money to promote that addiction. Get out of that American Library Association. 140 years ago, maybe it was a good organization. Now they're telling people, oh, this stuff's hidden in these books. Most of the conservative people will never even find it. They won't even know it's there. So keep pushing it. That's what they're telling the librarians when they attend their meetings. And you hear these people go up and they say, oh, these libraries, we have these readings, and nobody's knocking any of the stuff they're doing other than the pornography. Let's quit pushing that on our kids and quit giving them the chance to find it in a public setting. There's numerous ways they can probably get it. But to use taxpayer money for this, is that real hard to figure out? I don't know how I can explain it any better, but if you don't understand what to do, quit using taxpayer money to promote this and supply it to the children. I don't know how else to explain it. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to address the council at this time? Please begin by stating your first and last names if you are a member of the city, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Council, my name is Jeannie Troshinsky. I live outside the city limits, right on the edge of the city limits, but I do have a Wasilla address. I'm the president of the Friends of Wasilla Library. We are the Wasilla Library Association by our tax ID, incorporated in 1938. That's how the library started. We have been doing business as the Friends of Wasilla Public Library since 1985. We have some great events coming up that I'm really excited about. Aspen Yarrow will be performing at the Wasilla Public Library this Thursday. We'll have a reception prior to the performance from 6 to 7. We have a number of great groups coming. The Valley Performing Arts Alliance will be there to teach you how to make a project out of a recycled book. The food bank, we have some stuff for various groups that we're gonna have there along with Aspen Yarrow, and you can meet her ahead of time, and then she'll perform in front of the library from 7 to 8. So Josh Freifogel brought this forward to us, and he's really excited because he says the acoustics are perfect for a musical performance in the library. And so we're excited to find out about that. I'm going to give you a handout where you can get tickets. As of Friday, we've already sold 43 tickets. What are the funds for? Well, one of our biggest things that we support is summer reading. And this summer, due to all the book challenges, which have already cost this city over $12,000 in legal fees, we are having to raise more money, probably twice what we normally would have to raise for summer reading, because the money is, usually we split the money between the budget of the library and the friends supporting it. But we have to raise more money this year. So that's what the funds will largely go to from this. May 2nd, we'll have a free presentation. Andy Hall, who is the author of Denali's Howl, The Biggest Accident on Denali, will be here to talk about his book, which is just amazing. I am not interested in climbing a mountain, but I really liked his book. Our next book sale is May 11th. It's the second Saturday. About 95% of our books are donated around the community. People that live in Wasilla drop by all the time, donate books to us. My husband and I pick up books from Fireside Books. They donate books to us at least twice a month. Sometimes it's like you can tell it's spring cleaning time because we have to go 3 times in the month. But the majority of books are donated to us. And then the books that are surplused, it was long ago decided, rather than putting them into the landfill after they've been weeded out of the collection, it made way more sense to be selling them and raising money to support the library. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to testify at this time? Hearing none, we will close public comment.
Madam Mayor, may we take a 5-minute recess?
Okay, we will take a 5-minute recess at 7:21. We will be back at 7:26.
Or excuse me, the special meeting minutes of March 27th, 2024. We have 3 introductions. Recommended public hearing date, May 13, 2024. The first is ordinance serial number 2418, amending the fiscal year 2024 budget by appropriating $75,000 from the general fund balance to the Fern Street Culvert Replacement Fund for the required grant match obligations. Secondly, ordinance serial number 2419, amending Wasilla Municipal Code 2.04040 vacancy on the council to require appointments to fill a vacancy to be by vote of the council with appointment by coin toss or other random method in the case of a tie, and amending Wasilla Municipal Code 204-130 council voting to allow for alternative voting requirements when otherwise required by law. Ordinance serial number 2420, amending the official zoning map of the city of Wasilla to change the zoning from commercial to industrial for Lot 2, Olympic 2019 subdivision, and providing for an effective date. Under our consent agenda, we have no resolutions or action memorandums this evening.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as read?
Madam Mayor, I move the consent agenda as read.
Is there a second?
Rubio seconds.
It's been moved by Councilmember Crafton and seconded by Councilmember Rubio to approve the consent agenda as read. Is there objection to the motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. There is no unfinished business. We are now at new business. It is the confirmation of the mayoral appointment of Simon Brown to the Planning Commission. Is there a motion to approve AM number 24-18?
Madam Mayor, Councilman Johnson moves AM 24-18.
Is there a second?
Rubio seconds.
Okay. Is there objection to the motion?
Madam Mayor, I object.
Okay, we need a roll call vote.
Well, is there discussion?
Oh, sorry.
Get in there.
Through the chair to the council, discussion?
Is there discussion?
Mr. Johnson's motion.
No?
Okay.
Am I recognized, Madam Mayor? Thank you. This is the 3rd time that Simon Brown's name has come up before this council to be approved to the Planning Commission. Simon is one hell of a guy and has done one heck of a lot for our city, and has certainly proven himself to be capable in a lot of different ways to do a lot of different things. I don't think that we should be, that we should be using the Planning Commission to recycle people who have done exceptional work for the city. This is where we should be putting people who we think are going to do exceptional work for the city in the future. Most of the people sitting up here came up through the Planning Commission. That's where they started their official work with the city, and most of them have, most of us here at the table have done other work with the city, doing other things. But just like in the military, and Simon is a general in the Alaska State Defense Force, thank you for your service, Simon. There are only so many slots available. If you keep all of your senior people in positions, you have nowhere to move up junior people. And Simon has done a great job, and whether he's sitting on the Planning Commission or sitting here in the council or volunteering in the community, he's going to do a great job with whatever it is that he does, because that's who Simon is. But I think we need people on the Planning Commission that, I hate to call it grooming, but that can see the process of how the city works and can determine kind of what the city's needs are and so on and so forth. And then they can move into the slots that become available. There are 2 city council slots available every year. The mayor comes up every 3 years. There's all sorts of opportunities for committees and special assignments and things like that. And while I think Simon would do a great job, I just don't think this is the right place for someone with Simon's capabilities. What is the right place for Simon? I don't know, but I know wherever Simon lands, he's going to do a hell of a job. But I think we need to keep the Planning Commission open, not as a place to recycle talent, but as a place to build talent. And thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
Madam Mayor, one question. While I understand Councilman Graham's objection, I would like further clarification as to how many applicants we had for the Planning Commission.
None, except Simon.
Mayor?
Mr. Crafton?
Thank you. I understand we have a need for our Planning Commission right now. Though seeing the same person come forward now for a 3rd time can be pretty frustrating. I know I've spoken with people myself about applying. I've heard that they have applied. I spoke with the clerk. I believe there were some applications that were submitted. But I think one of the big reasons why we should not be approving this is we're supposed to be doing the work of the people. We all mentioned that a few minutes ago when we were discussing our compensation. We're up here doing the work of the people, and the people took this person out of office. So why are we putting this person back on a seat, a public seat? The Planning Commission has a lot of power, and they influence a lot of the change of the city. And I would agree with what Mr. Graham said about bringing people up through the Planning Commission and not recycling some of the people we already have. So I'd like you to keep in mind what the people did this past fall whenever an election happened. Why are we putting somebody back in office after they already took them out?
Other discussion?
Madam Mayor. So I too spoke to several people about Planning Commission. None of them chose to apply. But I considered that to be part of my responsibility as a city council person to go out and talk to people, find people who are interested, and essentially make sure people understand what the Planning Commission is and what it does. And I'll just be quite honest with you, Madam Mayor, it's your job to recruit people and to give us a choice of people to do that out there. I know the Planning Commission has been tough the last 3 appointments have been kind of tough. But, you know, I mean, that's all of our jobs, to get out there and find out who's interested in the community. We all take phone calls every week. I'm sure I'm not the only one, from people that are concerned or interested in different things. And, you know, let's turn those into recruiting calls where they can volunteer for different things going on in the city. There's always something going on in the city. You know, whether you're working with the Friends of the Library, whether you're working with the Planning Commission, you know, we've got the Airport Commission. We had problems there for a while, got that squared away. But I mean, we need to be out there recruiting, not just finding the easiest way to get it done. You know, and I'm pretty sure Simon knows I have nothing against Simon. I just think that the Planning Commission is an important building block, or an important step in the building blocks towards leadership in the city. So, thank you.
And Ms. Graham, I have been recruiting. We have 2 applicants that applied that are not city residents. So therefore, you can't force people. All you can do is tell them, this is open, I think you'd make a good candidate, you know, won't you apply? So, and I have done that. And Simon Brown is a brigadier general with the Alaska Defense Force. He is retired military. He is retired state trooper. He was head of security for the Arctic Winter Games. And while he ran in the last election that Mr. Crafton referred to, he was busy putting together the security for the Arctic Winter Games, and that is a huge responsibility, which he stepped up to the plate. The borough mayor appointed him to that position. So therefore, I don't have any quantum about bringing Simon back to the Planning Commission. He served on Planning Commission and did an excellent job. He served on council and did an excellent job. So therefore, I have no problem bringing him back. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is on the adoption of AM number 2418, confirmation of mayoral appointment of Simon Brown to the Planning Commission. Councilmember Cottle.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
No.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Crafton.
No.
Councilmember Velock.
Yes.
Councilmember Rubio.
Yes.
Madam Mayor, the AM passes with Councilmembers Cottle, Johnson, Velock, and Rubio in support. Councilmembers Graham and Crafton opposed.
Okay, thank you. We are now at communications. Madam Clerk, please read the title of IMs and meeting minutes.
Thank you. We have IM number 2406, which is the monthly financial reports for the period ending January 31st, 2024, to include the month-to-date expenditure report and disbursements greater than $10,000. Secondly, IM number 2407, monthly financial reports for the period ending February 29, 2024, to include the month-to-date expenditure report and disbursements greater than $10,000. 2 sets of meeting minutes: Planning Commission meeting March 26, 2024, and Planning Commission April 9, 2024.
Thank you. We are now at audience comments, a time for members of the public to share their views with the council. This is not a question and answer period or a time for dialogue. Speakers may be referred to administration, or issues raised may be taken under advisement by the council or administration. Is there anyone present who would like to address the city council? If so, please come forward and begin by stating your first and last name, and if you are a city resident. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person.
Good evening again. My name is Jackie Goforth, and as a perfect example of people who think they are above the law, let me read to you the registration requirements for charitable organizations in Alaska. Alaska law requires charitable organizations and paid solicitors to register with the Department of Law, prior to soliciting contributions of money or property in Alaska. The deadline to register as a charitable organization or paid solicitor is September 1st of each year. For the purpose of registration requirement, a charitable organization is defined as a nonprofit organization that the Internal Revenue Service determines is a tax-exempt organization under 26 U.S.C. 501c3 Internal Revenue Code, or is operated for the relief of poverty, distress, or other condition or public concern in the state. Certain types of charitable organizations are not required to, however, register with the Department of Law. These are the only types that can't, and here's the one we're talking about. If a charitable organization has no paid employees or board members that do not intend to raise or receive contributions in excess of $5,000 annually, or do not intend to receive contributions from more than 10 persons annually, they're not required to register. And thank you so much, Ms. Trushinsky, for putting a dollar amount on how much the organization she is not the president of, because the organization did not exist prior to 10 days ago. It's the law. They were running a business without a business license. It's the law. You can't be above the law. You can't make the law. You can't just brush it under the rug and say, oh, we're just doing this, and we're doing this, and we're doing this. Somebody needs to do something. I don't know what the state attorney will do, but I will be speaking with an attorney next, because it's a law. It's an Alaska state law. Why do people think they don't have to do the law? They made their own rules. They held my feet to the fire over them. And yet, the Alaska law doesn't mean anything to these people. I'm reading you the law. You can look it up. You have to have the business license to be the Friends of Wasilla Public Library. You have to have the business license to be the Friends of the Wasilla Library. They do not have that business license. They never did. Why would you have a business without the business license? Someone please explain that to me. Anyone could have registered for them, especially if they've been operating since 1985. Anyone could have come in and registered. I did. I have my own board. You can't get around it. They can't get around it. It's not going to get swept under the rug. They're violating the law. Those contributions can't go to that organization because I own it. Read the post. They can't. It's illegal. I don't even know the extent of illegality here. But they can't just brush it under the rug. It's the law they violated, okay? Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to come before the council at this time? Please begin by stating your first and last name if you're a resident of the city, and you're limited to 3 minutes.
It's Mary Rabetta, and I live just outside of the city limits in Wasilla. Good evening, Mayor and Assembly and staff. I just wanted to weigh in on the books, of the pornography books in the library. I agree with the people that have been speaking on that subject, and I understand addiction, and I don't want to contribute to addiction to the sexual woundedness that occurs in that area, and I don't want to be contributing through taxpayer money. So thank you for taking consideration and not having any of us contribute to this area. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to testify? Please begin by stating your first and last name, and if you're a city resident, your comments are limited to 3 minutes.
My name is KJ Martin Albright. I am not a City of Wasilla resident. Actually, when we moved here from Eagle River and I was working at the Wasilla Public Library, my husband and I chose to live outside of the city limits on purpose because having inside knowledge of how the sausage was made didn't seem fair when it came time to vote. We did choose this area to move to and raise our family from. We're both transplants from the lower 48 who've been here over 20 years now. I heard the council when they said they were interested in hearing about policy changes that could be made, that there's only so much that you can do. And I'll get back to that. First, I wanted to say that I'm the webmaster for the Friends of the Wasilla Public Library website. And if you go to wasillafriends.org right now, it gets a 404 error. And that's because it was a old Google Sites host. We didn't timely transition to the new Google Sites. And now I have to figure out how to rename the CMAP. But then we had to, with the DNS change, and I barely know how to do this. I'm almost 50, y'all. I can't keep up with the technology anymore. So we are working on it, and the site does exist, but you can't get there by typing in wasillafriends.org right now. It's google.sites.something.something. I can email it to you if you're interested. Last week, you were also given some policy suggestions, and I just wanted to get on the record that there is a set of guidelines used to help determine which materials go into the public library. It's the collection development policy. It's been in place for years, and it really goes back to the people who founded the library as the Wasilla Library Association in 1938, and has their values built into it, including the Freedom to Read statement, which is from the American Library Association, which I would like to posit to you. As long as I worked at the library, we were never an institutional member. It's just the cost was too much. But the reason for public libraries to be institutional members of the American Library Association is because when there are book or material challenges that go to court, if you are an institutional member, the ALA will send lawyers to help defend you. And I think that's why there are a lot of lies being spread about it, because if you can get people to get out of the organization, that help is no longer available to them. Also, I was curious to hear that pornography is the fastest growing addiction. It is. I looked it up. I was able to find a National Institutes of Health article on it. When I dug into the research, people's first exposure, not one was from a book in a public library. 100%, 110%. It was the internet. So I'd like children. I want to protect them too, but going after books on library shelves is not going to do anything. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to testify at this time? Seeing no one, we will close audience comments, bring it back to the dais. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just wanted to let council know the POFD, the financial disclosure statements that you file with APOC, because they are not available on the APOC website. Although you do file with them, they don't upload them. You have to request them. We are now uploading them to the city's website, and they're under, as stated in your clerk report, and they can folks can find them under your profiles. So it's just kind of a matter of being more transparent, having information out there to our public that they don't have to contact City Hall for the records. Highlighted in the clerk report, we have upcoming high school graduations. If you're interested in attending, you see a couple of dates noted there. Candidate filing period, July 15th through 26th. Council seats A and B will be on the ballot. And lastly, we'll see you here next regular meeting, May 13th.
Okay. City Attorney.
No comment, Madam Mayor.
Councilmember Crafton.
Thank you, Mayor. I also wanted to give some kudos to Eric and the roads department there. I was mentioning to him today, I had the street cleaners come through my road, and again, it is always nice to have the roads cleaned up. Now we just need to get the state to clean up the Parks Highway for us. Hopefully it won't be June this year, but I just want to say thank you, Eric, for all the work you guys do over there. It really does mean a lot. People love it there. Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for everybody who testified in front of us tonight. I appreciate the hearing from you. As far as special meetings go, unfortunately, Mayor, unfortunately, I'm planning on taking my first vacation with my wife for 2 weeks, starting on the 22nd of May. I understand that is not a really good time, but that was the only time that we could get. So we have some commitments with grandkids, and so we're going to be out for 2 weeks starting at that point. My apologies.
May 22nd?
Yes.
Okay. Councilmember Rubio.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It is Earth Day today, don't forget, so cleaning the streets is awesome. Recycle, reuse, and reduce, right? I got to plant little flowers for Mother's Day, but used Earth Day as our get dirty with our hands today with all the preschoolers, so that was actually awesome. Other than that, that's it.
Councilmember Velock.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And yeah, Eric, the street sweepers and the water went through right before I was going to work, and I just washed my car. I was like, dang. I thought, anyway, but besides that, yeah, it looks great. And I do want to thank everyone for coming. I want to congratulate Simon. We're happy to have you back on the Planning Commission, and that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Graham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks everybody for being here. It's always great to get input. Without input, you always wonder if you're headed down the right road or not. Congratulations to Simon. Even though I don't think that was the right choice, I know you'll knock it out of the park when you're sitting here at the Planning Commission, much like you did when you were on the Planning Commission before. So I appreciate your desire to serve and your commitment to doing it right. So congratulations. I also wanted to, I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, but so I didn't get a chance really to tell everybody how much I appreciated all the work that went into the Arctic Winter Games, not just from the city, but from the citizens, from the merchants, from everybody. I mean, the whole community got behind the idea of the Arctic Winter Games. And when I say the community, I mean not just Wasilla, but the whole Matsu borough got behind that. And that was really interesting to see. I mean, we're in a very divisive time in our nation and in our state politically and things like that. But I mean, here's an opportunity to do something for the kids, do something for the betterment of society, the betterment of our community, and we came together and we did a great job. And when I say we, I mean you, because we doesn't exist without all of us. So congratulations and thanks to everybody. And once again, congratulations to the Wasilla High School female athletic programs. Hopefully they will always remain female athletic programs. But that's beside the point. The point is the gals went out and they did their damnedest. I mean, I don't know if you saw any of the games or matches, during the year. There was some hard fought stuff going on out there. People think, well, women's sports aren't really sports. Well, I tell you what, you get out there with those ladies, and they'll whoop you, and deservedly so. And they did a great job winning the state title there, and that's great. And back up what Councilperson Rubio said, it is Earth Day. I have went out and bought a ton of flowers. I haven't planted them yet because the ground's still a little bit frozen where I want to put them. But over the next couple of weeks, I'll be putting those flowers in and beautifying our community and helping our climate, helping our earth. So once again, thank you all for being here, and thanks to the council for the input. I think it's important that we have these open discussions so we can figure out where we want to go. And I don't see any crime at all for anybody ever killing one of their own ordinances so they can bring it back better. So thanks you for everybody's input there, and for the clerk for letting me figure out how to get that committee of the whole input in there. So thank you all.
Councilmember Cottle.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Simon, congratulations. Thank you for your desire to continue to serve this community. I hope it's an example for a lot of other people. There's always the need for people to serve, but it's not always easy to find people to serve. It definitely isn't. So I'm happy that you're back on. I had the opportunity to attend the Wasilla Library's Accessibility Open House. Very interesting. Their accessibility programs that they have for visually impaired adults and youth were pretty amazing. I got taught how to read basic Braille. I got to type my name on a Braille typewriter. I was just as excited as the kids were doing that. But they have some really amazing tools for people that are sight impaired, and the library has so many interesting and worthwhile programs that I just encourage everybody to check them out. There's so much more to public libraries than there used to be. There's just so much more. Keep checking them out online on all the things they have going on, and bring your families. I've got the summer reading program for when my grandkids come for the summer, and whether they like it or not, they'll be reading this summer again. So I encourage that for everybody. So just kudos to the library, and I know that we have citywide cleanup coming up pretty soon. So I hope everybody takes part in that to clean up and beautify our city. I try to do some of that every year. The city's looking really good. I don't live on a road that gets swept because I'm on gravel, but that's okay. You guys can come grade my road one of these days. But other than that, city's looking awesome, and it's just nice to see everybody getting out. It's officially spring because the ducks are back underneath my bird feeder, much to my dog's dismay. But everything's looking good. Just want to let everybody know I appreciate all the hard work everybody puts into making the city look beautiful. And that's it.
Thank you. So that we don't forget, many of you know Eddie Azell with the Matsu Food Bank. Tomorrow night is his retirement party at the VFW. Eddie's done a heck of a job for the last, 15 years or so? And I'm sure he will definitely be missed. And congrats to Simon. I am happy that you decided to step back up, because we can always use smart people, but don't let that go to your head. Okay. Also, the library, you guys you continually do a great job. We have a great manager over there. And kids from every walk of life, they benefit from the library, from our preschool, the reading program and everything. And a lot of times that's the safest place some of these kids have got to go. So thank you again for all of that. And with that, nothing else to come before.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Could I ask you to mention DEA Drug Take Back Day real quick?
Oh, sure. The DEA Drug Take Back is April the 26th? 27th? April the 27th from
10 to 2, I think, or 10 to 3.
10 to 2 at both Fred Meyer's, one Wasilla, one in Palmer. Any unused medications or whatever, pet meds, vitamins, they take it all. So,
Thank you.
anything else? And the cleanup days is the 6th through the,
May 6th through the 11th. The dumpster will be in Idita Park parking lot. The 10th, Friday, 5 to 7 p.m. It'll be manned. And then Saturday, 9 to 4, the 11th. Bags are, advertising's going out. Facebook hit today or yesterday. Bags are available upstairs. At Public Works, we'll have them at the Menard Center, and then the library will have,
the museum.
Museum will have some bags too, so.
Yeah.
We've consolidated the dumpster drop-off because the Monday through Thursday, we never get volunteers to man it, and there's not enough traffic. And then they were leaving their couches and their love seats and all the things that are not allowed. So we've consolidated so we can staff it.
Okay, anything else?
Summit.
Oh, the economic summit between the borough and the city of Wasilla is the 24th and 25th at Evangelo's.
And then a tour of the airport and the port.
Yeah. So you can go to wasillachamber.org And it'll give you all the information and if you wanna buy a ticket or whatever. Anything else? We are adjourned at 7:59.